Misty, welcome to the Retail Whore Podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for jumping on and doing this with me. You and I have gone back and forth on several things through DMs and whatnot. And I was like, I love the premise of your store. And I said it to you when I talked to you earlier. I truly think it's kind of how retail is going to look more and more. So why don't you introduce yourself and give everyone a little bit of background on your stores and yourself?
Perfect. Well, I am Misty Stachel, and I'm the owner of 85 Local. We are in North Peoria, Arizona, not Illinois. And we have over 25 local makers, artisans, and small businesses inside our store. It's really fun. So we have everything from like candles, fresh sourdough bread, women's clothing, kids stuff, just kind of like something for everybody.
How many square feet is your store?
It is about 1,200, and that
No.
includes the world's smallest back room.
Which is good. I mean, I was raised with the foundation that you should not have anything in your back room. Everything should be on the floor. So that's actually probably a good thing.
Yeah, there's no room for nothing back there other than like boxes that hold bags that we use, like just not a lot of room.
So tell everyone a little bit about your background as far as how you got to this point and how you created this concept store. Because it's, so everyone can hear, yes, there's 25 vendors. So it is more or less, it's a co-op kind of situation. But I'll let you tell like how we got started, and then we'll get a little deeper into the store schematics.
Yeah, so I have a really interesting background that really does not have retail involved in it. And so I'm lying by the seat of my pants, but I've always had a love for like wanting to own my own business and having a store. I just didn't know exactly what it would look like. So how I kind of got there was while being a stay-at-home mom, I became a fitness instructor. And through that, I wanted to do a little bit more. So I started sourcing workout clothes that I was selling. And I found out about these places where you could rent space and you could sell your goods. And so that's what I started doing. But they were an hour away from my house.
Mm.
And so to travel that multiple times a week, there just wasn't anything on my side of town. And through that, you had to also work hours in those stores that you had spaces in. So I was learning retail. I was learning kind of operational wise, like kind of what to do or not to do. And from there, I just was like, I'm tired of this drive, COVID times, gas prices going up. And I just really felt like there was a need in my own community to have something like this and that we didn't need to drive an hour to have that kind of experience.
So you had never been in retail whatsoever?
No, not really.
And then you just like you went from being a mom into selling workout wear. So how did you even figure that part of the puzzle out?
One of my friends, she owns a boutique in another state, and I was kind of picking her brain one day, like, how do you get clothes? And she kind of shared with me, and then that's kind of how it evolved.
So you leave, okay, because it's always mind blowing to me when somebody's never had a retail space. Not that it's not brain science, I mean brain surgery, but it's still like there's still a learning curve to it. And a lot of people get that from working in retail. But what's great is that you had a taste of it for, it sounds like the same kind of scenario that your store is in now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So definitely a similar feel.
So when you decided to, okay, I'm going to open a store and you start looking around for spaces, like, did you have the capital to do this or did you just wing it?
I am very blessed. So my husband is a president of a plumbing and mechanical company, and I'm just thankful for all of the avenues that I'm able to get through him with him. And so we had money to be able to open it, and we also had the resources to do a build out
Wow.
and help us, get it going. Like some of his workers, they laid my floor. They like did a lot of the groundwork for me. And a time that was actually really hard because it was kind of right after COVID. It was hard to get work done. It was hard to get certain things. And I was just lucky in that way.
Did you sign your lease during COVID?
No, I signed my lease. I guess it was maybe during COVID a little bit, but things were open. I've been in business about 3 years now. So
Okay.
the tail end. Yeah. So I found a commercial realtor and I just really relied on them to help me to find a space that would be doable to take the risk. And kind of like, I got a 3-year lease. That's kind of unheard of these days, to get your landlord to give you such a short time. And yeah, so I just was able to make it work and know that if it failed, I could still pay my lease.
Okay. So now again, like when people open stores that have never had them, now you are looking at, did you go into it thinking it was going to be kind of a collaborative space with multiple stalls? Because your store, much like Joshua Tree Trading Company and a couple other brands or Mojave Desert, I think it's Mojave Trading Company, it's basically the same thing. It's multiple vendors. I don't believe they have, I think Mojave Trading Company, I think they have their own spaces, but there's other stores that the stuff's on consignment and they merchandise it and they set it the way they want it to look, so it looks more cohesive. It sounds like your store is very much like that.
Yeah, I really wanted a cohesive look. There's nothing wrong with the places that have the stalls, but it just wasn't the vibe I was looking for. I wanted you to walk in and go, oh my God, it's so cute, and see the curated spots, but also have all the local feel. So I say we have over 25, but we really have close to 40 local makers in the store.
So when it comes to, okay, you've signed your lease now and you've got 1,200 square feet. How do you go about fixturing a store when you've never had a store? This is the part where I'm always like, because I'll be honest, like, I've learned my floor planning through Anthropology, and it's very intuitive, and I can tell when I lay out. I don't do anything by computer or planograms because I feel like there's a lot missing from the human experience when they're done on planograms. And I've trained through Anthropology where we're forcing people to go through the store where we want them to go. But that's an intuitive thing. So you set it, you kind of step back, you watch how traffic, but there are times that I still not planning. I mean, I have a floor plan, but again, it's intuitive and I'll order fixtures and whatnot. And there's been times where I'm like, oh shit, that table is way bigger than I thought. And it's worked out somewhere else, but I've made that mistake and I'm a veteran in setting floors. How did you approach this? And did you have any experiences like that?
I've had lots of experiences. It's all a learning game. My husband's right-hand guy, he had the vision for my store. He's just really good with that type of stuff. So he helped with I think you should put shelving here. I think you should do that there. But really too, and we even bought furniture on auction websites where I didn't know how big a piece of furniture was going to be. Like you were saying, you have no idea. And then it comes and I'm like, where's that going to go? Okay. That's going to be my anchoring piece for the store. And I'm going to kind of build around it. But I also I gave a little bit of freedom to vendors too, to bring in pieces, but I was very specific about look at the vibe we have going. Do not bring a plastic folding table. There are things that will be unacceptable, and they have followed it and have helped me make it work. But there's been a few things where we're like, okay, that didn't work. And then we redid shelves, or we've added more shelves so that I can do different things.
What was the biggest learning curve from a store opening, setting your floor?
Well, there was definitely a few moments of crying on the floor, and
of course,
because it is overwhelming. And I couldn't imagine having to stock a full store, never have done it before, doing it before. And I was already crying just thinking about my little bit of space that I was bringing my own items into. So I just think that I have the personality of a quick starter. I like want to go, 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 and I want it to be perfect the first time. And it just really doesn't work that way. And learning patience, and it's okay if it doesn't work, and try.
Patience is a hard one.
Yeah.
So you got the store basically, set. So when you started to look for vendors and you started to put the word out, how do you explain this to people? Like what? Because I think a lot of people are going to think, oh, I'm going to have my own section and I can put my stuff here and I can show it this way. And how do you explain that to people as they're coming to present to you what they are hoping to sell?
That's a good question. I feel like we just walk around the store and I just want them to get a feel for like what we have, how we're curating things, what works, what doesn't. I'm real open with the consignment people that come in because I want them to be successful, because without them being successful, then it only hurts me. But I'm like, this is what really sells in our store. So if you can create something like that, that works. And then we have different themes. So I feel like everyone so far has been fairly easy to work with and they kind of get what I'm doing. Some of them are in other places where they have those stalls and it works for them. But like, we really want us, 85 local to be more boutique feel.
So what is the vibe of the store? So as you're taking people through, how do you explain? Because aesthetics, design, and display, I always say, are subjective. Like I may think, oh, that looks amazing. And other people may be like, you're on crack. Like, what is wrong with you?
Well, I've learned a lot through you. So I'm like, just say no to plastic risers.
Thank you. Thank you.
And like, there's other things we can use and be creative. I mean, that's a part of it too, is the creativity outlet. We have a very Arizona cactus vibe. People come to us because they like the local, but more and more it's, I'm going here and I need to bring a piece of Arizona with me. So they want the cactuses. They want the candles that say something about Arizona on them. So that's really kind of the vibe that we've developed. We have other things too, like I bring in clothing and not everything has a cactus on it, but it's timely for, the season we're in.
Yes. Excuse my dogs, everyone. It seems to be, it's been raining and snowing, and this is like the first time the sun's come out. So everyone has decided to take their dogs out, and Mouse is not happy about it. You can hear her in the background. So with people coming and bringing you their items, obviously you're curating it. So you're playing the part of a buyer. They're bringing you all their things. You're playing the part of a buyer. I'd like this. I'd like this. Were there things where, because again, it's subjective and, you may make something and think it's the most amazing thing ever. And because I had that when I was at Burt's Pharmacy, we had a lot of women that made things at home and would come in and it was like, oh my. And you're standing there like with this frozen smile, like, oh, because it's like they're neighborhood people and you don't want to insult them, but it's also, there's no way I can sell a wreath made out of mismatched florals that someone had in their garage. But it's a very slippery slope trying to talk to people that make something themselves, that are true makers, just starting out like on a smaller scale than, people that are makers, but they produce things on a larger scale.
Well, I'm not going to say I've been perfect at this because I certainly have not. And I've made my own mistakes, or I've let certain things in that, I knew weren't going to work and then they didn't work. And I was like, why didn't I trust that feeling? Now I'm getting a lot better with it. And also I have really dialed in on what my non-negotiables are for
Utah.
you have to have a social media presence. You can't just put your items in a location and walk away and think, tomorrow I become a millionaire because I like dropped my stuff off. It still takes work. I am like, Charmin has commercials still for toilet paper, even though it's everywhere. Like you
Little
still
bears.
have to promote yourself. And, a lot of the newer ones they're not going to maybe have that part of it yet. I also want them, I've changed my application for them to kind of show me how they would merchandise an area. So there are certain things that they're not going to have if they're in the more beginning stages. And also, I've just tried to kindly give feedback. Like, I don't think that it's going to work here. Like, this is what people who shop here typically buy, or that price point. Your art is beautiful, but someone's maybe not going to pay $35 for a wallet size photo.
It's funny. Some of those same little ladies, when I would try and be as nice as I could, got a little aggressive. They were like, they sell everywhere else. I'm like, well, it's, my nature is not, I used to be super passive aggressive. Like I would go through the whole conversation, and it almost sounded by the end of it that there was a chance you were getting it. Like I was that passive aggressive. And now I've gone the complete opposite. And now it's like, yeah, I'm sorry. It's just not going to work. And I've learned, it must be something in your 50s that I've learned that the passive aggressive in anything in my life, the passive aggressive part is probably not serving me. And it's best to just say it nicely, but be as upfront as possible. So I can, because people's feelings get hurt. Because again, like they're making it, it's like, it's very personal, but there were some super aggressive little grandmas there that were making flower stuff.
Yeah. I can totally see that. And another thing too, that's really helped with the dynamic of, loving it like it's your baby is, if it's not sold in a certain amount of time, you need to let it go and learn your lesson. And you may love it, but nobody else is.
What is your timeline for that?
It depends on the item, but typically I'm like, if it is like a home decor, maybe like 3 months, okay. That really, it's gotta move. If it's not moving, then it needs to go home. You can take it to your farmer's market or one of your other places. It needs
to go home.
But, and it's like, I have my own battles. I wholesale items in. I have things that I think, oh my God, everyone is going to just freak out and they're going to love it. They're going to break my door down to get it. And no one wants to buy it.
Oh, yeah.
No one even wants to buy it once I've put it on sale.
Oh, yeah. I've had that. There's 2 stories I have for that. The leather or the animal print trend that went through, that when you went to Magic, everything was animal print. I thought it was I walked in going, oh, animal print. By the time you walk down every single aisle, you're like, oh my God, animal prints are amazing. And then it gets to the store and it was like, animal prints were not appreciated in Newbury Park whatsoever. And the other was, God, now can I remember the other one? I just really like, it's like the greatest thing ever. And it's like, no, it's not. Oh, Choose Company stuff. It was one of their summer collections. And I still think it was the cutest thing. It was this whole farm vegetable group, but everything's in 18 or 24s. And literally like I pulled it out 3 summers in a row because I'd pulled out the floor for fall, 3 summers in a row. And it finally was like, this is not selling. And even at, I swear to God, 75% off that shit didn't sell. It's like, I'm sorry, Choose Company, but it's true. Like I thought it was both those things I thought were the cutest thing. And it's like, yeah, that so is not never going to sell.
It really is demographic because of having my workout clothes in 2 different stores an hour away. They were probably about 15 minutes from each other. But what wouldn't sell there would sell at the other place. And then I had things that didn't sell in either of those places, but sold at my store. So it is
demographic.
It is so demographic.
Okay, so take me through because you said you have departments and you have concepts. So And you also have perishables because you mentioned sourdough. So talk to us a little bit about how the store's laid out from when you walk in to how the experience unrolls as you're the customer.
Okay, so you walk in the door and our checkout counter is right there. I don't know if that's the right spot for it, but it works because I don't know what else I would put there. And we're able to greet customers right away, which I really love. Like they're coming into my home.
Mm.
But you walk right into fresh sourdough bread, fresh flowers. We generally have like bouquets of flowers. We have gluten-free bread and just different food items right there. And then we also have a center table. Like right now it's St. Patrick's Day. So we have a table for St. Patrick's Day that's perfectly curated. But so we kind of have like food, a little bit of home decor, clothing, and then it kind of wraps around and we have baby kid, candles, jewelry, more home decor, more food. We just have like different little areas that kind of like tie it all together.
So because you said candles is one area, because I think a long time ago, I'm not sure, I'm maybe confusing, but you do cross merchandising on your tables and then you have departments on the side, like candles are in one, but then you pull things together and create these cross merchandising moments of, everyone's product, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was like, am I forgetting who I was talking to?
You're like, who am I thinking of?
What happens when you turn old?
And the customers love the candles. They love them so much. They burn well. They're a local maker. So it's like they're buying into, I don't know, I think the localness and that it's a good product.
Well, I think certainly because this is, I think the third conversation I've had with somebody that it's all about local. One of them, and the interview will be out by the time we were talking, by the time this comes out, is the Locavore, which is a store in New York, and everything in her store has to come in within 100 miles of New York City. Like it has to be produced. So she will get, and she does everything on her bike, or she'll get in a taxi if it's too heavy. But, she, goes from place to place and picks it up and curates it all. And there's more and more of that happening. And I said this to her on the interview, is that one thing that with this tariff situation that's going on, that is obviously going to affect a lot of the brands that most retailers purchased at the gift shows, because we all go to the gift shows. And I think the one thing that this is really going to force is looking to local people who make things that, if they make something that like if their fabric or something does come from one of the other countries, there's a tariff on that. But certainly as the whole item of the cost of goods, if it's produced here, is going to be a lot less than if the whole entire item is made. So I think, again, like the idea of these curated stores that are with consignment goods that, again, are curated, that feel like an Anthropologie per se, that is other people are helping offset the cost of operations, and then keeping it local. You're also going to avoid those huge tariffs, which I think that is going to be one of the trends that I will say that I am glad to see, at least, of local products being made and showcased in stores.
There are some amazing local products made, and I feel like you're helping a local small business, but it also helps you too. You don't have to own the inventory. There's lots of benefits to doing it, but yeah, it's going to help on that tariff issue as well.
Because no one knows this, and I've never talked about it, but seems like a good time to do it now. When I was in Redondo, one of my businesses was, I had like a pop-up store thing where I bought apparel from downtown LA, and Bristol Farms and Lazy Acres, Bristol Farms owns Lazy Acres, had given me an end cap in each store. And it was these little curated pop-up stores of apparel, and they did amazing. Well, what started happening is once they started to run the reports, the shoplifting outdid the actual purchases. So, and by the contract, they still had to pay for it because they were responsible for it. But that's ultimately why I don't have stores anymore, because it actually became like, I think, the number one shoplifted item in the store. So what do you do in that case? Because you don't own it and you're kind of, governing it. Like, what happens? Do you have that in clause in your contract? Like, how does that work? And has it been a problem with shoplifting? Because that's, another reality that I think every retail owner has is shoplifters.
Yeah, I feel very grateful and blessed that that has not been an issue for me. I'm going to knock on some wood right now. But it is a clause in the contract that we are not responsible. We will do our best. If, we don't want things to happen to people's products. So we take care of them like they were our own. And so I expect my staff to be walking around and talking to customers and doing the things that would prevent people from comfortably being able to shoplift. And we're a small store, so like no one needs to hold the register down.
Oh my God, that's what I used to say. This desk is not a ship, and it is not going to save you when you're going down. Like, get away from it.
Yeah. Like, walk around and talk to people. But yeah, we're not responsible. We've only had one situation where a customer came in and used a fake $100 bill and bought stuff, to which I did still pay the vendors for those items. But I very quickly got a counterfeit machine so that we could check 20 on up, which I heard that like 20s are actually the most counterfeited. I don't know.
I got a $5 one at a garage sale. A $5. I mean, like, you must really be in business if you're printing $5 to $100 bills.
Yeah. And this person, the glory of Facebook, everything has its plus and minuses, but I put it up in a group, and like within an hour, I knew who it was that came in with the fake $100 bill, and that this was a thing. It's been going on for like 3 years. She'd even been arrested, yeah. So
So what did you do?
Well, I filed a police report, and I need to follow up on that actually, but I gave them all the information. I'm like, she literally just got like convicted of this. And when she got done with that, she was back to her fake money.
Oh my God. I think loss prevention is the biggest thing right now. Well, it's not the biggest. It is a large thing that retailers obviously deal with. And, coming out of corporate, we would get loss prevention workshops where the LP person would come in and tell us, because in California, you can't touch the person, you can't run after them, you can't do anything. And there's some things you can do to prevent it, like you said, the walking around. The number one way to hopefully dispel someone stealing from you is saying hello, is the greeter. It's like, hey, so now they know you're in the store. How are you? But counterfeit money is really challenging because there's some really good counterfeit money out there, and it's like once they're out the door, they're out the door. There's the same thing as if they steal something. Once it's out the door, there's nothing you can do. I mean, you can try and run it down, but you now are like risking yourself getting sued.
It was so tough. The minute I saw the money in the bag, my gut feeling said, oh no. But then I was like, well, it kind of looks like an old $100 bill, but 3 times through the ATM and it wouldn't take it. And then I was like, oh no. Oh no. And of course they buy a minimal amount so that you give them change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're screening people, do you have like a lot of buyers will have, like, I think Annie from Urban Girl has like once a week an open vendor day where it's held at her office and anyone that wants to try and sell them something shows up. Do you have something like that? And if not, how do you find new products that are local and keep that fresh?
That's a really good idea that I might have to implement. Right now,
A lot of big companies do it.
Oh, how it works now is sometimes people just show up wanting to talk to me and hoping I'm there, and I'm not always there.
You're like over there in the corner, like, I'm not here.
Hey, not here. Because it's like I have things to do too. I have like a plan for my day and I'm kind of like regimented. So sometimes that throws me off. But generally, I will throw them if they just walk in, like we have an application, go on our website and complete the application. Because also, I don't really want to waste my time either if you're brand new, you don't even have, like, you don't have the things to, be in the store. But that's also where I look when we do need vendors. Could you complete step one, which was fill out the application? But yeah, generally people will reach out to me on Instagram, and then I'll set up an appointment for them to come in, or they just try to show off. And that doesn't always work out for them because I might just send you to the application to start.
It unfortunately, I think a lot of the old ladies would come in all the time, like, and were shocked that you were busy and couldn't see them. And then you're now like, okay, let me take a look, and you're stopping everything. But I think that's the norm for, not seasoned reps, certainly, especially with apparel, they all know, but I think that's somewhat of the norm of like, I'm just going to pop in and give it, which, in some senses is good, because I know there's some reps that don't reach out at all. So I'd almost rather have somebody pop in versus never reaching out.
Yeah. And I want you to come by and see the space, because the hard part is when you're just looking for places to put your items, but you actually haven't done any of the homework to see if your item would fit in that store. That is really tricky. And that's where that uncomfortable feedback happens.
Give me some examples of uncomfortable feedback.
I'm like, I'm sorry I talked. Now I got to come up with uncomfortable feedback. I don't know, like just, I'm trying to think of anything in the more recent time that is like, yeah, that's just not going to work here. Just like things that are kind of more craft show oriented. They're not been fully put together yet. They haven't evolved. They need time to like make it a better product.
Because it sounds like in some sense, it's a little bit of a, you could be kind of a mentor to somebody of like, hey, this is an amazing product, but what I need you to do is it needs to be packaged. It needs to have whatever, a tag or whatever it is, and then come back and see me. Do you have those moments of somewhat of mentorship when there's something that's amazing, but it's not completely there yet?
Yeah, I feel like I have a couple currently where I'm like, I could see this product working. So let me help them try to get there. And our contracts are 30-day notice. I know a lot of places tend to want to get you on a 6-month or a 1 year. I don't operate that way, because if your product is not, if you don't want to be there, we don't need to continue. But if your product's not working, I don't want it to have to be there, because that space is very valuable.
That is one of the smartest things I've heard people say, because it covers two things. It's one, it's in a normal store situation. You said like 3 months for home decor. In a normal situation, that's about a fair timeline to figure if something's going to sell or not. And that's when you make the decision, we're putting it on sale. And a lot of retailers struggle with that. I think a lot of retailers like, no, I can move it around. It's going to sell. I just need to move it around a couple more times. And it's like, it's moved around as much as it's going to like, let it go. But the other thing too, is that keeping things on the floor longer, especially because if you're not in a situation, you can knock this person's stuff down. It's like, okay, 30 days is great, like in, out. And I think it also, like you said, it keeps things fresh, because there are brands that I've seen, even what I've done where I've kept lines around too long just because I loved it and I hope it was going to sell. And then the longer it went, the more painful it got.
Yeah, just didn't work the way you thought that it would. And most of my vendors, a lot of them stay for a long time. So I think there's this fear that if I don't get you locked into a 1-year contract or a 6-month contract, you're going to leave tomorrow. And it's not the case. If their products are selling and, they like your store and like what you're doing, they're going to stay. And if they want to leave, that's just opening the door for something better to come along. And I just in the beginning, it was hard when I lost people. You kind of take it personally, but now I'm like, I wish you the best. I want you to be successful. And now I can't wait to see what that new thing is that I'm going to bring in that is going to make our customers excited.
With the perishable stuff, is that a challenge? Because, even with the pharmacy, we had like Hammond's candies and we had some other, and there was a challenge at a certain point of the turn of it, because even though candy's got a pretty long timeline on the floor, but it's a low cost of inventory to put money out on that if you do lose it, but it's still, at the end of the day, it's still a loss. Like, does the person that has the sourdough and stuff like that, do they come in and check? How do you handle that?
On the perishable front, so typically that's going to be mostly consignment people. I've tried a little bit to wholesale perishable food items. I have a few, but I try to do more shelf stable. My perishable people do a great job. They have their cottage law license. They know that, you don't want someone to get sick because then they can report you. So they're on top of making sure that their food is good and swapping it out. Do they have losses sometimes? Yeah, it's not always, 100% sold out. But when I opened the store, I thought I was going to have cookies, and I knew somebody who made sourdough bread, and I just thought like, okay, I'm gonna have, those are my food items. And it's literally, people love the food so much, it's really expanded. And now I joke, I'm like, well, I didn't really realize I was opening a grocery store. But people love to come in for the bread. We have bundt cakes. We do like holiday things like pies, and
Wow.
we just try to like keep it new and fresh so that our customers know they can count on us. Like, sure, you can go get your pie or your bundt cake for Easter at anywhere, the grocery store, but there's just something special about what we're doing. And I think our customers really like it.
I love that. Tell everyone, because I know what it is, but explain to everyone what a cottage license is, because I just found out what it is from my interview with Melanie, who is here in Jackson County, where I'm in Oregon. There's a lot of honor stands here where there's no one manning it, and they sell everything from eggs to whatever. And Melanie has a stand called Farm to Flour, and she started with sourdough. And now it's like sourdough and everything's a sourdough base, but the loaves and sandwich loaves and sourdough and cinnamon rolls and cookies. And I mean, it is exploded. I mean, it's crazy. And she was explaining to me the cottage license, but I think a lot of people probably don't know what that is.
Yeah, I would love to explain that. But first, I started following her because of you. So I've seen this whole evolution of how she started. It is amazing. And I'm starting to see a few of those types of things pop up in Arizona. And I'm so excited that, you can trust your community enough to not just steal items and to pay for them.
The only thing I've seen that she has said, because she doesn't have, because I'm like, in California, somebody would literally pull up and empty the stand out. If not, take the whole stand.
Yeah, I was going to say, they take the whole thing.
Let's be honest. But she said the only thing I've ever seen her post where it's been like, hey guys, it's one per, because she has a little toy box where kids can come in with their moms and get a free little toy, like it's a finger puppet or whatever. And it's the only thing I've seen her post, like, please guys, it's only one toy per kid. Like, other than that, and now she's doing, I mean, you're following her, now she's doing like special orders, and it is like, it's mind-blowing. And honestly, it is the hands down the best sourdough I've ever had in my life.
I want to taste it. That place is just so cute. I'm just excited for her. But a cottage law license is where you're able to cook from your home. And every state has their own guidelines. Like I've heard in other states, the state literally comes to your house and inspects like your kitchen. Well, I've heard in Arizona they don't really do that. They don't come to your house and inspect, but you have to fill out this application and pay a fee. And there's rules. There's, labels that have to be on your package that say the ingredients, the date it was produced, expires, things like that, so that the everyday person can look at it and it feels like you're buying it in a grocery store. Like there's a trust that.
I think it also has to say this is produced in a non-commercial kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm dying to hear about how you go about your merchandising. So like when you first opened, I'm sure it looks a lot different now than when you first opened. So when you first opened and you have all this inventory and your store is built out now, how did you go about merchandising it?
I need to dig back into my brain on that one. I feel like I am definitely more of the creative type. So I just tried to look at Pinterest for ideas and just figure things out. I should go find old pictures because I probably would laugh to how far I've come now. But that's kind of how it started. Probably very basic, not that visually appealing, even though, I was trying. And now I just feel like I go to market. I look at how things are being put together there. I follow you. I love to watch when you're at market and you're putting things together. I'm like, where else do I get? I take days of inspiration and I go to stores
Atta girl.
that I'm very excited about, that I want to shop at and see like, what are people doing? Not so that I can copy them, but just so that it inspires me to go back and put my own stuff together. And actually for Valentine's Day, one of the things that I did, you're probably going to die when I tell you this. I had a table and I emptied it out. I took a picture of it. I uploaded it into ChatGPT and I said, help me merchandise this table for Valentine's Day. And because I use ChatGPT all the frickin' time, it knows my products, it knows what I have, and it put the whole thing together for me. It told me what visuals to have, even make this printed sign. And I'm like, oh, can you show me what that could look like?
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then I gave it a finished product and I said, what do you think? Is there anything you would change?
GPT's a critique now. Shut up.
Yes. And it gave me advice. I'm like, yeah, but I can't change that because I don't have the space. And then it would give me it would give me more. And so that was kind of fun to have it help me put something together. Cause there's times when you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
So wait, where do you upload the photo to Chat GPT? You can upload a photo
Yeah. In the chat, I think there's a plus button.
Until I've never done it. So I'm just going to say that.
There's right where you would put in your text, there's a button right to the side and you could upload a photo.
Holy shit. I think you just blew everyone's mind on here because I think AI scares the shit out of everybody. I don't think it scares you. I just think that a lot of retailers don't know how to use it to the best of their advantage. And it certainly now people are starting to do posts with it and really starting to use it in descriptions of product. But merchandising, that is a whole other level. That is amazing.
Yeah, I think the more you would it have worked if it was my first time using it? I don't know that it would have worked as well, but because I literally use it every day, it's my favorite unpaid employee. I'm on the free version, by the way. You can be on the paid. The only issue with being on the unpaid is you'll get to a part where it'll be like, that's enough from you today. Come back tomorrow at this time.
Okay. Wow. I'm so blown away by that. Now I want you to do this for us in real time.
Yeah.
So that was your first time in February that you did this for Valentine's?
Yeah.
And have you done it again?
I have not done it again. I should. It might be a fun Instagram.
Yes.
Of doing that. Yeah.
Does it tell you architecture?
Yeah, it'll tell you like you want to have different levels and like, yes, yes. I'm like you,
Does it tell you no plastic risers?
yeah, you could tell it. You could say like my non-negotiable is no plastic risers. Don't even think about it.
Wow. You just like literally just blew my mind. That was amazing.
I'm glad. I'm like, I feel like, I can't find a book on merchandising. I don't even know if one exists. Like, I'm literally flying by the seat of my pants. All I know is that I'm a very visual person. I'm very creative. I'm a quick learner. And I just try to use the resources that are around me. And if ChatGPT can help me, put something together and like give me something that maybe I've never thought of before, like I'm for it.
So what was on your Valentine's table?
I had self-care, journals. I had a cute Valentine's tee that said XOXO, and I put a cardigan over it that was all cactuses because Arizona, their birthday is on Valentine's Day.
Oh,
We had a cute the viral like tablecloth bow was draped up on top of it. And so we kind of showed people how we had put that together. I'm like, what else? We had candy, because that's the fun part of the local makers is this one of mine does these really cute holiday kebabs and they're all candy and they're themed. And so it just makes it so fun to put some of these tables together. Candles, of course, I had down below, I had like warmies, like the eye patches, the neck warmers, and then some baskets that showed ideas of what you could put together.
I love it. So you're still selling apparel. Are you still selling your workout apparel?
No,
You moved past that.
I did. And it was a sad day because I loved it, but people were no longer coming in from it. And that's, I feel like the evolution of just retail in general, but like COVID was big for loungewear and workout gear, and it was going to have to end at some point. And we kind of transitioned from that because people wanted to get dressed again and they wanted to, feel put together. And
Certainly everyone but me. Like I'm still living in sweats and leggings.
or, we had to evolve from that because when you start when you're only selling something when you've put it on the clearance rack, like it's time to no longer carry it.
Yeah, that's smart. There's a lot of people that, have open to buy people that, have a timeline. I think it's 90 days or something. That's like, if you haven't sold 50% of it, it needs to go on sale. And, I think a lot of the people that don't have open to buy go by reports. Do you have a report? You must have a reporting system because I'm assuming selling all these different people vendors. So how do you go about separating? They all have different ID numbers?
Okay, so what a ride. I'm so glad you asked. I've been on a wild ride with planning. I work with Management One. My consultant, Wendy, is amazing. But how we started was we have categories like sections in the store, candles, dresses, that kind of a thing. But what was making it hard was I was mixed in with all of my consignment people. So when it would come time to a meeting, we have a meeting. It's like, well, this is doing great, but what's doing great? Like it was just so convoluted. So last October, we separated everything. And that was a nightmare.
Anything like that, inventory based is a nightmare.
But it was one of those like, this sucks right now. My eyes are literally bloodshot and I don't want to look at the computer anymore. But the result is going to be life-changing because you can't, if the data isn't helping you, then you're never going to move the needle. And that's kind of where I was at. I was stuck because it was just too mixed up. And so now we're separate. And that's been really fun to see. I can still compare myself to them, but I'm going to be able to grow my portion of it so much quicker and faster now that it's separate.
Numbers don't lie. And I think that there's a lot of buyers that Yeah, I was one myself that flew by the seat of their pants, but it became like I'm dyslexic. I didn't graduate high school. Math I hated, and it is not, numbers do not mix with me. But oddly, when it came to reporting and getting on stores on these reports, it became this like game. And it was like I loved seeing, like, on Mondays I'd get the reports, and I'd love seeing like what departments sold, what products, what, within these department. Was it a knit? Was it a cut and sew for apparel? Was it candles? Like, it's always still so gratifying to go through those reports, but a lot of people don't use them, and it's like numbers don't lie. And I often wonder, how do you really know? And it's like, I know people are like, no, I know, I'm on the floor every day. And one of my stores, I'm like, let's run a report of what your top departments are. And she ran it. And she was like, holy shit, candle or cards are my number one. I'm like, you didn't know? And she's like, and that's just it. You're not, I mean, like, yes, you can see what's the obvious, but there's a lot of things that are not obvious that are super small. And also what's been stolen versus what's been sold. And that all plays into the numbers. But I love hearing that you're with Management One. They're a great brand. There's quite a few people I've worked with that are with Management One.
Yeah, and it's been a whole, do typical consignment people work with Management One? I don't know. I feel like I've given Wendy a run for her money a little bit, but getting my vendors to understand, I'm probably one of the, I dare to say, only consignment vendor or store in Arizona that operates like this, to where I'm, working with my vendors to say, like, your inventory has to be right. You cannot ask for extra labels for stuff that is not here. It messes up my reporting. It messes up my open to buy. And you don't want to see me if this isn't right. Like, we need it to be accurate. If you take stuff out of here, you need to let us know so that we can remove it, because you get, when you are constantly in conversations where, you have too much in this category, you need to do something with it. Like, you get tired of having those conversations. So it's imperative that my vendors help me, because it helps them too.
So Management One is also kicking out reports for your consignment goods by department. Mm-hmm. So you can look at it and go, okay, candles are the number one sell through. Let's see and then you can dig deeper. What's the number one brand? What's the number one scent? And then you can use those reports across the board saying vanilla, whatever, tends to be the number one. Like, for anyone that's interested, if you want to do another vanilla based candle scent, it seems that vanilla is the number one candle scent out of all the candle brands. Is that kind of how you're utilizing the reports with the consignment people?
Yeah, I'm just able to really dial into what is working, and can you make, or like, this, I'm going to use cactus because it's so easy, but this over here with cactus is selling on it. What can you do? I know it's completely different, but what can you do to bring that Arizona element? Because that is really what is selling here. And, ocean's great, but no one's coming here for the ocean.
Yeah.
They want Arizona type goods.
Yeah. It's that one project I worked on. I think that's beginning of when we started talking, was when I did the Southwest Reflections rebrand. And it's the regional product has become oddly one of my favorite things to work with, like whether it's with the Grand Canyon or whoever I work with, like regional product is one of my favorites. And doing a lot of those buys for that store with them was so much fun, curating that kind of stuff, the Arizona. And it's true, like, yes, yeah, a lot of people like, oh, but the whale's the number one seller. It's like, you're in Arizona. They want a lizard, but they want a lizard. They want some kind of wolf or whatever runs through the desert.
They want a scorpion. They want a snake. Like, they want all of those things that they're used to seeing.
The kids was my favorite one to curate, between the books about the desert and then matching them up with all these different, I think Fiesta was the plush brand, which I had only worked with once. And for everyone listening that can't get Jellycat, Fiesta is a great brand that's inexpensive, but has really cute plush. And it works back with tons of different books, but it's, for those listening, it's Fiesta. And I don't even know where they're repped out of, because I don't think I've even seen them in Las Vegas.
I don't think I've heard of that one yet, but I just walked through that store. Looks great.
They haven't. I keep looking at her Instagram, and I said, Joy, have you changed anything? She's like, no, we're keeping it all the same, which works. I mean, I set it up so it was very much like, it went from like a tabletop, because I use the Anthropologie, the way they set their floors, public to private. So you always walk into a garden section, outdoor entertaining, then you go into like kitchen, and then home decor, and then you finish it at the back with intimates, bedding, and the fitting room, which are the most private areas. And that's kind of still how I set floors. So it opened with tabletop, and then it kind of went back through foods, and circled back around to kids being on the other focal. And it's funny to watch, because I always wonder when we set up these stores and they look amazing. It's like a brand new store opening, and you come back months later and it's like, wow, what happened? Because they weren't able to keep it up. But Joy and her team, man, they're like keeping it up. They've not moved anything, which I love.
Yeah, it looks, because I had went through after you had did it, and it looks exactly the same. Like
I love it.
Yeah,
that's great to hear. So tell everyone a little bit about, you've got, I think by the time this comes out, it probably will be before Easter. What does summer look like for you guys, and how does some of your concepts shift into the very hot months of Arizona?
Yeah. Summer retail is really fun because everyone's trying to escape the heat. So really our focal point becomes Father's Day, because we are really curated for the holidays. So we try to do fun Father's Day gift ideas and items, which is great to have local makers because they're able to more easily come up with specific theme ideas, and you're not having to like try to source it from everywhere. But other than that, we just try to make it real summery and fun, and just like, drinks you might drink by the pool, hats, doing hat bars, like the trucker hat style. Other things that we have done that this one I'm probably like the most proud of is in July, we host a boutique crawl, and I've done it from year one on. And I have no stores in my shopping center, but we collaborate with 4 local boutiques, including me. You have to drive to all of them. They're not exact, one's 10 minutes this way, one, like they're in the general area, but you're going to drive a little, and it's a fun girls' day. Grab your mom, your sister, your best friend, and go shopping. And it's great to support all these local businesses. And it's fun to see the people come in and they're so happy. And we're not requiring them to buy anything to be a part of the crawl. But if you go to all 4, then you get entered to win gift baskets, and all of us have put them together.
I love that because it creates community, not only for the community, but it creates community within retailers. And because I think in some instances, retail is very competitive. And, that's, I think, why I love Boutique Hub's whole thing is community over competition. And by doing something like that, you're getting everyone involved as well as the actual community. I think Alameda, because I just saw it on Daisy's Mercantile, Alameda they call it a granny crawl. And all these people dress up like grannies, and then they go to all the stores downtown Alameda. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen. Daisy's was doing Jell-O shots.
I saw that. I was like, this is so good.
But I think anything, you and I talked a couple weeks ago about, creating something else, and I was like, you should do a movie night with all your neighbors.
I know. I'm like, I had a whole page of notes by the time I was done talking to you. So I'm still like, mouse is never getting off the wheel because I'm like thinking about how I can make it all happen.
Well, if you created that, you certainly are going to be able to create a movie night easy. But I think I think that because I was going to ease into asking you about like, because I think now there's a challenge of getting people in stores, and you have an element of it's hotter than hell there in the summer. I mean, it's like 120. So if, I know from being, back doing the Southwest store, it's like, there's not a lot of tourism around that time of year. It's like, I think your high time is what, spring, like October through January or February, something like that. So it's like a lot of people struggle with that time of year. And I think having in-store events, the trucker hat bar and whatnot. So you answered my question earlier about having events, because I think that is so incredibly important now with how retail looks.
Yeah, we try to do at least one event a month, if not more, because we don't have a lot of foot traffic. No one's walking around and wanting to come in. Like if they show up and park in the parking lot, they're there for a reason. Someone's told them about us. They seen me on social media or, like something like that. So we have to do a lot of events to get people in. And really, I think that's where we're headed. I think that right now, people want those fun events with friends, with family members. And the secondary is, oh, that's cute, I might buy it. But they're here for the event that you have put on.
I love that. I keep thinking of like, because everyone's done the trucker bar and the charm bar, and I still think it's the cutest thing on earth. Brooklyn Charms, who is in New York, does the most insane charm bars. They're actual brick and mortar, but to see the business that they drive for a charm bar. But now I'm starting to I want to see somebody that has an embroidery machine that can bring it down, and you buy either vintage plaid shirts and have sayings print on the back, or I forget the French designer where she has sweaters and they embroider I think one of them, and don't hate me here for this, but it says, I didn't vote for him. But I think that's that I think about what's the next thing to build on that. And it's I think an embroidery night would be so much fun. But I think that's so smart about having these events, because it again, it creates community, it gets people out to be able to do things and gets you in the front of it. So how do you get the word out other than social media? Because one of the things I was saying to somebody else is that it's challenging getting people to give up their email address. And so you're reliant on, Instagram and whatnot. So how do you get the word out to your community?
Well, it's a few ways. So we definitely, we do get a lot of emails. So I do send marketing emails. I will blast it on social media and talk about it till I'm you think that you are annoying people by continuing to talk about it, but the way the algorithm works, it's just so many people haven't even seen it. So I have become unapologetic about sharing what we have going on. Also having all the local makers, they gratefully will share the events that we have going on too. So we're reaching more people, because if they get their people in there, the likeliness of them making a sale becomes now greater.
Yeah.
I feel like those are probably how we do it. I've tried ads. I've tried some things like that, but I need to keep working and learning on how to make that work, because it's really hard to gauge sometimes with ads on if it got them in the door.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
I think in listening to some of the interviews through Crystal Media, where they've said it's come in and say, I saw your ad on blah blah blah. I think that's really the only. But I know that there's a success rate to running ads. I'm definitely not the person that knows about that.
Yeah, there is. I know that there's plenty of people who are successful with running ads. I just haven't. That's one area that I have not figured out yet, but maybe.
Well, it sounds like you already are having some huge successes without it. So
I really just try to talk about it as much as possible and be excited about it. If you're having an event and you're not sharing with people that you're having it and you're not excited about it, well, then you probably already know how that's going to work out. So
Thank you. I've seen so many like, hey, so the event's tonight, and they look so just not into it. It's like, wow. So, I mean, Fred Siegel used to say, excitement creates energy. And it's like, I know when I get super excited about something and I'm talking to someone about it, I know they get excited about it. So I can only imagine, like, when you're excited about something, how it just kind of broadcasts to your community how excited you are. But definitely, like, show some enthusiasm, people.
don't do it.
Right. Or have somebody else do it. Somebody is young and excited. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. Cause like I said, you and I have gone back and forth for now, I'm guessing it's probably like 2 or 3 years now. And I feel like I know you after several conversations and then being on a Zoom call with you for a totally separate thing. Tell everyone, actually, before we finish, tell everyone where they can find you, social media, website, all the things.
All right. So Facebook and Instagram, we're 85 Local AZ, and my website is 85localaz.com.
Are you on TikTok yet?
I am on TikTok. Same 85 Local AZ. That has been a challenge. I will keep trying, but I feel like Instagram I do better at, and TikTok I haven't figured out.
It's a weird one. I'm not going to lie. I fought it forever because I was like, during the pandemic, it was all about dancing. I'm like, I am not going to dance. Like, no one needs to see that. But I slowly started to realize, like, the teaching element of merchandising, that's this weird niche thing that I've gotten more people that reach out on TikTok, which I don't have a lot of followers, but they're legitimate retailers that are really looking for merchandising help. So it's been successful. And I think if I don't overthink it, then, but I still don't, nothing has gone viral yet. I think the most things I've had is like 5,000, which I was super happy because I still don't understand, like, what did I list? What hashtag did I use that got 3,000 views? And then this looks like it's, for the most part, the same hashtags and whatnot, and it got 150. Like, that's what I don't understand. But just keep trying. I'm not going to beat it, but it's definitely, I think it again, it's one of those things that's how retail looks now. And it's just a different way of advertising it and getting the word out, and for sure selling things on it.
Well, and definitely I feel just privileged to be in the era of social media, because I can't even imagine what it was like to do marketing before social media. Yes, it's something you have to show up for. It's something you have to do all the time, but like, you're able to put a video out and people can watch it and immediately come and check out what you're doing.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing. And I use this example all the time because what the younger generation, I sound like an old lady when I say that, but truly, like, the younger generation of retailers is very different as far as their mindset. Like, I just interviewed Andrew from that. So Andrew, again, because he opened a pop-up shop and super transparent, talked about the numbers, talked about his ROI, talked about, everything from the lease to what they made to how their contracts went with their consignment people. And I said, there's only a couple people I know that are super transparent like this, like, because most people are not going to give out their numbers. And I'm like, why is that? And he's like, I just think our generation, the younger generation, it's like, why keep these secrets? Like, if it's going to help other people feel like I'm not the only one that's not doing numbers, or I'm not the only one that's not making a return on this or having these issues. Like, I just think it's so eye-opening. And that's, I think, what I kind of love now. But it's, my favorite story is being at Magic, and Magic's the big apparel show. So for people that don't know, and there's a lot of people on the floor. It's like the gift shows back in the day is what Magic feels like now. Tons of people on the floor. The aisles are packed. And, a lot of us are self-conscious about standing in the middle of somewhere filming because, now it's like, oh, they're just doing, TikTok or whatever. And it's like, there's a bit of that shyness, and I don't want to do this in public, but man, these girls are on the show floor, standing in a booth. They've already picked out what they want, and they've got one of their girls in it, and they're talking about it. This is blah, blah, blah. They've already given it a retail price, and they're taking orders on it there, and they're turning around the vendor, and they're doing pre-show orders like, I'll take 10 packs of those because we just sold 25 live, and they're walking through with the sticks, walking through live through, and I'm like, I wish I had that much whatever you need to get out there and walk around with a stick going live in the middle of these shows, because I get out there and I still get super nervous, or like just worried about what I'm going to look like. But man, this generation, it's like I got to give it to them, because I think that that's what you need to do.
Yeah, the confidence that they have is through the roof. And I look at them and I'm like, that's so impressive that you're going live. Like, when I'm walking the floor of Magic, I'm still like, ooh, are they going to like it? Are they, like, I'm still like trying to decide for an hour on like one piece when I just like need to move on, and they're like, do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? And
so I think that for all of us, just get out there and do it. Just go live. Because honestly, like, who's going to say something? Like, whatever. I mean, everyone knows. So I need to take my own advice, because I keep saying I need to go live. I haven't gone live since the pandemic, before this podcast started, when I was interviewing people live from my house. And I have yet to go live again because I'm so conscious.
Yeah, you got to do it. You're doing a podcast with video.
Yeah, there's something very different about, like, I'm so comfortable in this. And even when we did the live podcast event in Dallas for the Dallas market, I'm so comfortable talking to people, but there's something about when it's just me standing in the middle of somewhere with, trying to film live, there is something that I get so self-conscious about. But the other part of the puzzle is you need to have somebody that's kind of a moderator, that's there reading the questions. Because if not, you get this, I see someone's asking this question. It's like, that is not what I want. That is what I know I will look like all pressed up against the screen. But, we had talked about going live for this new show we're doing for the podcast called Shelf Talk. And Susan, I said, I think we should go live and ask for people to ask people to ask questions live. But I said to her, we need to have Dave here. He's going to have to read off the questions, because there's no way I'm doing that, trying to read it and have a conversation with she and I, but I think that that's truly like how to push our ball forward, is going live.
Yeah, and making it fun. I'm sprinkling in different things. I did a merchandise this table with me this week, where I was just literally talking.
It up already? Why didn't I see that?
I don't know, but it was Monday.
Gonna have to look it up.
And, here's what I rearranged this week in the store. This was one of those weeks where I came in and let's blow everything up. And here's what I did.
Oh my gosh, I got to go back and look at that. Those are my favorite weeks of blowing everything up. And I get a whole week of blowing it up next week when I come back to California. I can't wait.
That's going to be so much fun for you.
Misty, thank you so much for spending this time with me. We have gone well over an hour, and I'm so grateful to hear your story. Because like I said, I really, truly think that this is kind of the way, or kind of what retail is going to start to look like now, as we start to think outside of the box as far as what retail looks like now.
Yeah, and I'm excited about it. I'm glad to be like on the already kind of doing it, and just see how much further I can think outside the box.
I think people, if they have any questions, is it okay if they reach out and ask you?
I'm an open book, so definitely.
I love it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this time with you.
Thank you.